Welcome to my final last take on, or my take on. Unfortunately, I'm finding that nobody is listening, especially with what just happened this year in November. They don't seem to love one another, anyway, so much that they love themselves, and that's why I picked the Bible verse I did for this final one. Mm. Okay, the Bible verse is going to be from Timothy. I think it looks like Second Timothy. Okay, Second Timothy 3. Though it says 2 on here, it starts from 1 through 5, and this is. I'm actually picking the King James version this time because the other ones sound kind of off from what I think they are supposed to be, but so this is 2 Timothy 3 1 through 5. Verse 1. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. Verse 2. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. 3. Without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good. 4. Traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God. 5. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. And so there we have the verses. I'll start by breaking this apart. We have right now men being lovers of their own selves. So what happened with in November? We have people not voting for what is right per se, but for their own pocketbooks, to save money, not really thinking through what is right and what is wrong for everyone. So, not just then, but people have been that way for a while and ignore other people for their own benefit. And let's go to the next part. Covetous. That's also having to do with being kind of lovers of yourself. That's when you put yourself first and others last, and in your ambition to have everything they have, so then you have to make more money and do the things you need to do to have these other things, but you don't think of somebody who has less than you and give them any money or help. And boasters, we have plenty of boasters and braggers, and they have to be right. They want to brag about who's better and how they're better for doing such a thing. And then there's the proud. We all know someone who's proud of themselves and they keep on acting like they're better than everybody else, and it's certain someone has a lot to do with November. And as far as blasphemers, that can be anybody who goes against the will of God. So anybody who would use God's name in vain, call that blasphemy. But it's also people who try to say what God's will is without actually knowing it and acting like it's his will to discriminate, like against people who are poor or because they're lazy or something. That's also trying to know God's will without actually knowing it. The next part is the disobedient to parents. Now, I did have a message about this one before that you might think I'm being kind of, this might be, going against what I said. But I said that, if your parents ask you to do something that doesn't seem in line with your beliefs, your morality, you do not have to do that due to having to be loyal to God first. If their idea doesn't line up with something God would rather you do, then that is excused from this. This is people who just do this on purpose because they just want to do whatever they want. And I don't think it doesn't apply to something like who you marry and you have your own household then when you do get married. So they mean like outlandish behavior. Unthankful. Now that has to do with a lot of people, really. There's people who are not grateful for you. Like, take for example a workplace. Like, I have been in one that was never really grateful for what I did, never rewarded me for the good I did, actually seemed to expect it, and thought that, having a job was good enough reward for your hard work. But they weren't grateful for anything, and they didn't say thank you. So that's around even in the workplace, and that's why I would say don't worry about that they think you're unthankful because they aren't very thankful either. Okay, and then on the next part, unholy. Well, they'd say there's a lot of things unholy to them, but I think it's unholy to try to force the will of God on others or what you perceive as the will of God. And you can go to church or you can pray, but that might be considered a little more holy. But to just pretend that they're better than you and act like they gotta control you is not very holy to me either, no matter what they think is. Without natural affection is the next point. There's a lot of people without natural affection. I've seen them in Lots of places they act like you don't exist. They decide it's me first, and they don't care about your feelings. They don't care about your well-being. They pretend to be nice, and they're not nice. They're actually just pretending to either stab you in the back or just get rid of you. And they're just really not actually nice. So lots of people are like that these days, especially you asked it at a workplace. So I'll move on to truce breakers. And there's a lot of people who do that too, say something and then go behind the back and pretty much stop being peaceful. Start again with the competition and try to beat someone out. The next portion was false accusers. That's about just about everyone who's calling people lazy who are poor. That, that has nothing to do with being poor. Sometimes it's being fired multiple times or, being fired for something pointless that keeps them from actually being mentally healthy enough to be able to stand being at yet another job. Could be mental health that makes them disabled in the first place. Can also be physical health. Physical health can keep people from working, and to deny them the help they need is wrong, and to accuse them of being lazy is wrong because they're not lazy, they just do not have the functioning ability of other people. Incontinent. No, that has nothing to do with going to the bathroom. It means they're not regular. They're not, regular to a certain pattern of behavior or unreliable. And there's a lot of people like that who will say one thing and do another. Fierce. Now, they're not talking about the adjective people were using before for your fierce. They mean fierce is like a conquering person who wants to bully their way to the top and fight and not have any mercy on others and just mow them down. Despisers of those who are good. There are lots of people who are despisers of those who are good these days. They think that doing a good deed for someone else is foolish. They act like, just being kind to others is a bad thing and they want to be all for themselves. That's what that